Welcome back to the first Takedown podcast. I'm Alex alongside Hunter. Hunter, how you doing today?
Good, man. Good. It's freaking hot. It's in the middle of July. It's golf season. Starting to golf a little bit more. Doesn't mean I'm getting any better, but, doing a little golfing, been doing some jujitsu. Just enjoying life, trying to get some sun while I can as well. It's raining right now, but yeah, man, things are looking up for me. How about yourself?
That's good. Man, I've been doing good. I feel like this is gonna be my first weekend home in a little bit. Just been doing a
Nice.
lot of traveling and stuff, but not a lot of like actual wrestling going on, but a lot
Yeah.
of wrestling news that we're gonna hit on today. Some good, some interesting, and some just kind of crazy. So I mean,
Yeah,
first,
I think wrestling has always been kind of that sport that has never dominated headlines, and they're tired of being in the back seat. They want to dominate headlines at all costs, and we have had a full from basically the end of the NCAA tournament. There's been something almost every week where it's some bit of news that we've had to talk about, and it keeps things interesting for sure. When you and I kind of started this, it was right after nationals, and we were thinking, man, like we're gonna have a lot to talk about right away, but what about like in the summer? And honestly, we haven't really missed out on a whole lot. We haven't really missed a week because there was nothing to talk about necessarily, right? Maybe we're just busy and things happen. Maybe for not the best reasons, in certain cases. In other cases, it just is what it is. But, I mean, the first thing is just so we'll give the listeners, if you don't really know, Penn State has had they have dominated the headlines three different times this summer outside of wrestling. There are wrestlers that have dominated the headlines for reasons other than wrestling. So Kyle Snyder had an incident that we touched on in the podcast. He was arrested. Obviously, since then, he has competed in Final X, made the U.S. World Team, and plans on competing at the Worlds, but didn't do any media at Final X. So you kind of have that kind of off to, it's its own story. And then recently, in the last couple of weeks, we've had a kind of a bombshell drop about Carter Starachi, where Bo Bartlett basically, him and his girlfriend posted something about Carter. There was some heat. Bo left Penn State, or he left State College and left the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, and you were kind of wondering why. Well, then this article drops about Carter Starachi being accused of sexual misconduct and of property theft of his own teammates. That's not good. That's two stories, it's two headlines, it's not great. And then you have a third headline where Aaron Brooks, another Penn State guy, Penn State legend, four-time NCAA champion, he gets busted for using something that he said he got at a Wegmans or something like that, and he used to get over the flu, or he was basically came and said the intent was to try to stop him from being sick, which, Aaron has already gotten in trouble for Adderall prior to this, so he already has had a little bit of run-in with USADA and with taking a substance that he should not have taken. And so now this is another instance of him doing something like this. And listen, I don't know why Aaron was taking what he was doing, and I think American fans never want to say like our guys are cheating, but
yeah.
that's just kind of natural. We never really want to be like, oh, our guys are cheating, everybody else is cheaters. But you got to wonder, it's just not a good look for Aaron. And really all encompassing kind of what I wanted to get to, and the main topic that I kind of wanted to get to and give the fans, the whoever may be listening out there, just the background on what this is, so that when we talk about it, they understand what's going on. But we've never seen Penn State in a position like this where they've dominated the headlines for reasons outside of wrestling, and it be a pattern of cultural issues within the team. And so I just wanted to kind of get into that and kind of hear your thoughts on it about what do you think this means for the program? Obviously, I don't think like in the short term, all of a sudden they're going to, just not, they're going to fade away and the culture's destroyed and everything like that. But to me, it is a black eye on sort of everything that they've done and just kind of having a little bit of that negative spotlight. So, kind of, what do you think about those events, and then what do you think about the long term effect of those events?
Yeah. Well, any press is good press. No, I'm just
Yeah, yeah, just stay in
it
the
is
headlines. Yeah,
yeah. No, it is crazy to think now, like, if there will be any sort of like disciplinary actions for any of those. I mean, I think for those individuals, I think that there's going to be, but as far as like think about, all three of those guys technically are not like enrolled in Penn State now. They're all like Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. So I think I just don't know if there's like possibilities of like having some sort of discipline for the club. Now there might be something where I feel like they might be like, hey, you can't wrestle here for a certain amount of time, like some sort of suspension kind of something. But I don't think it's gonna affect Penn State, besides just the view of this team culture that we've seen for so long of like, hey, since Kale's been there, it has turned around what that team is, and you come in and those people just want to wrestle and they love the sport, and like they don't cut a lot of weight, and they just want to score points. And so I think now, if anything, it might do a little bit of a second look of these really good high school wrestlers that we have coming up, of their choices, just because the other people that they might be around. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
yeah. So, my first thought was kind of like a jokey thought, just when I first is right when Kale got there, from the David Taylor and the Ed Ruth era all the way up to now, they kind of had the same, like, they always like preached the same thing, which was Penn State was the team that had fun. They have fun. Well, now they're having a little bit too much fun. I mean, you're taking the fun thing, a little girl, over the edge. It's not really fun anymore. It's a little, this isn't good, when you start getting prostitutes and drugs involved. And I'm not, obviously prostitutes and drugs, is a little, yeah, I mean, it doesn't tell the full story about what's going on, but it almost is like, I just thought like, it's Penn State's the team of fun, they're just having fun. These guys are just out there, just having a good time, having fun. And I don't think that is being what is being preached, but I have a hard time with, a lot of these guys they are God-fearing men. They are very outspoken about their relationship with Christ, and not to say that they can't stumble and fall, obviously, but I just know you're going to get a ton of backlash when you're that outspoken, and then something like this happens. People are going to be, they're going to have their pitchforks out, and they're going to be attacking you. And I don't feel like they've dealt with it very well. Okay, yeah, they kicked Carter off the team, or off of Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. He's no longer associated with Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. Aaron comes out and makes a statement, and then kind of has this like, I did something, but it was an accident. I shouldn't have done that. And then, Bible verse at the end. And then Kyle Snyder does the same thing. Says, basically, my family's all I'm worried about right now. Bible verse at the end. We haven't heard from him. So, I don't know, man. Just the way they've handled it after the fact. I don't know. What do you want to call it? A scandal? Post-scandal has just been a little... It is typical Penn State, right? Like, they're always keeping stuff in-house. They don't really talk about it. They don't do a lot of media. They've never been very outspoken about what goes on behind closed doors. But it just makes you feel a little weird, I guess, and a little grimy about things that are going on behind closed doors, and then they're not being outspoken. When everything's all good and glory, I'm like, yeah, don't do media. Like, whatever. You can do whatever you want. You're Penn State, but sometimes you got to answer for some of the negatives. I don't know. I feel like they haven't handled the media and really answered any questions about what's going on. What's the issues surrounding some of these guys, and is it isolated, or is it a cultural thing?
Well, and I think that's also part of the strategy of it, of like, let's let it die down. We'll be all right. Just let it blow over, and which is just a kind of like a little bit of a PR move, but
Right.
it also, it feels a little bit like the really good kid on the wrestling team that doesn't get kicked off for doing something that he wasn't supposed to do. Now, if this was a smaller program, they get in trouble a few times. Hey, program's done. They're not going to threaten like anything like that. And I don't know if we necessarily hit that level technically because it's an Enlightened Wrestling Club, but that's kind of a little bit how it feels. Like they've got some favoritism a little bit, and
Yeah.
as long as there's nothing that's harming anybody, that it's gonna blow over a little bit. That's kind of just what it feels like because it has been like
Yeah.
so closed off.
Yeah, and I mean they're backing it up with they put 7 guys on the U23 team, which is just insane. Like that is a crazy feat to put 7 guys on the U23 team. And I guess they're all planning on competing. All 7 of those guys are planning on competing. So that to me is just in and of itself is pretty nuts. And they're putting guys in Final X. They're putting guys on the world team. Like things are still running along. Don't get me wrong in saying like, oh my God, Penn State they've
They
got to worry
close the
about
room.
this, and this. Yeah, yeah. No. I'm not by any means am I not saying that. I just, Kyle Snyder's not doing any media. These guys aren't doing any media. These guys aren't saying anything, and I understand why. Like, they need to have some things maybe handled on in the background before they start given any sort of in Kyle Snyder's case there's probably still somewhat of I don't know if he still has an investigation. I think he pled guilty to some charges and took some lesser charges, and then in Carter Sirachi's case I'm sure there is some sort of investigation. With Aaron Brooks, he's going to have a suspension that we don't know when it started. We don't know how long it's going to be from when it was. And so yeah, that's interesting. Another thing that came up recently, and this isn't as big of a deal because he might not be competing anymore anyways, but like Thomas Gilman missed another drug test. I don't know if you saw that, but like he might not be able to he might be suspended for like a year from getting or something like that. And in that case, you can't get your USA coaching card. He might not be able to coach for a year on the world level because he missed another. He was in the USADA pool and missed another. I guess he had already done. He had missed one at one point or didn't tell them his whereabouts. And with that, when you're in that testing pool, you have to be very precise on your whereabouts and everything. Anyways, man, it sucks because I hate when American wrestling is in the news for negative purposes, and it's never great, but it does. It's all coming from one team. I mean, it's so strange. We've never seen it, and now it's all coming. And a guy like Carter Shirachi, who was so outspoken against an AJ Ferrari about kind of his mess ups, and I am the last person to sit here and defend AJ Ferrari. That's not what I'm doing. But he has seemed to somewhat turn things around. I mean, I don't know if what he's doing out there is real and some of the stuff he's talking about to the media, but I hope it is, and I hope that who he is changed and he's this new guy. It'd be awesome. But I don't know, man. It's like the holier than thou sort of situation that Penn State has always kind of done, and then whenever that gets called into question or you have some sort of scandals, that's just poof, gone. We're not going to talk about it. And that just makes me feel weird in that scenario. If they were always so I guess hush hush about their personal life and their faith and everything, I probably wouldn't have as much of an issue with.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's we're used to being outspoken in that way, and we're not used to having these kind of headlines in our sport, and so it feels weird to have that and not have clear answers and
Exactly.
repercussions. So
yeah, so and we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously, I think future-wise, we can touch on that a little bit. Kyle Snyder looks like he's fine. He's going to compete. Carter Shirachi, no clue. No idea what's going to happen there. I think Aaron is going to get some sort of a suspension. He sounded like he's going to be cleared by the time the Olympics comes up next year. I guess he's got a match in Real American Freestyle, this new league that's starting. There's a card, I think, in Labor Day. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to compete against Hayden Zilmer. There's, he's still going to wrestle, but, he's not going to wrestle on the world stage anytime soon, it doesn't seem like. So, I don't know, some of these guys' futures, it seems like, at least in the near futures, are a little unclear.
Yeah. Well, we'll kind of keep everybody up to date. I mean, I'm sure you guys will see as well, but we'll hit on anything that does happen, I think, for sure. And as far as anything, do you think that it does like taint the image of Penn State of like what they have been in the past, decade.
No, and I don't think it changes anything. I think it's just I think it's weird timing. I think in their mind, let's let this blow over. We're getting rid of Carter. It seems like Carter's out of Nittany Lion for good. I don't know what he's going to do or where he's going to end up. He may end up fighting. And I could see him doing some sort of fighting at some point. He's always kind of talked about that. And then, as far as the future of the program, I don't see any. It's not going to be any slowdown, I don't think, and it doesn't tarnish any legacy for me. I think it's not like we don't have a Jerry Sandusky situation on our hands. I don't think. I hope not. It seems like some other incidents that are going on. It just kind of is it's a weird series of events for a team like this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Well,
and then, not to get too far away from the Penn State stuff, this guy loves to be in the headlines, but Bo Nickel, I don't know if you saw this recently, he was on Ariel Helwani's show. Ariel Helwani's a big-time media outlet for MMA, and, he has a huge platform, huge show, where he interviews a bunch of different guys in MMA, the grappling world, wrestling world. He'll even, do some WWE.
Same.
So he does all kind of combat sport interviews. Well, he was interviewing Bo Nickel, and he said, I don't know what, I didn't watch the whole interview. I watched his interview with Craig Jones yesterday, but I didn't watch the whole thing with, I guess for some reason or another it came up, and he was like, hey, you and David wrestling match, because Bo was talking about competing at Real American Freestyle. He's going to actually compete for Real American Freestyle, which is kind of cool. You get a guy like a big star like Bo, which is great. And I guess Ariel was like, oh, what about you and David? And Bo was just like, he doesn't want this. And I'm like, what? I'm sitting there thinking like, are we talking about the same guy? David Taylor? And David Taylor might not want it, but not because he's like, oh, I'm going to Bo Nickel's way better. I'm going to get done. He might not want to do it just because he's focused on other things and he's, but are we talking about Olympic champ David Taylor? Multiple time world champion? One of the best the U.S. has ever had. And the last time they wrestled twice, and it was Bo didn't sniff a point.
Yeah.
I thought that was so weird.
Yeah, I think Bo definitely still needs to work on his UFC persona a little bit.
Dude,
he's in the middle. It's weird.
The guy is so talented, and look, I mean, him and I never wrestled the guy. He would have destroyed me. The year that Gabe Dean destroyed me, my senior year, Bo beat him that year. So that's just, it blew my mind. When I wrestled Gabe that year, I was like, there's no way anybody can beat this guy. There's just no way. And then Bo beat him. So the guy's incredible. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here hating on the dude's talent and ability. I think he's incredible. I think his media training or whatever he does, his podcast, got a good podcast, that's fine, all well and good, but more successful than our podcast. So you don't have to listen to me. I don't begin to act like I know exactly everything. But I see this route for Bo, and I almost think Bo doesn't know his identity. He needs to, I think, he's trying to be this good guy so much, but he'll say shit that makes him a bad guy and makes people not like him. This cocky attitude. And I'm like, okay, dude, if you're going to have that cocky, confident attitude, just go full heel. Just be the bad guy. Be the full-on bad guy all the time. Play the character. Be the character. And you know what? People will hate it, but they will show up to watch you every single time. They will hate it, and then eventually they may love you. Guys turn like that. Heels eventually turn. Some guys don't. The Colby Covingtons of the world don't. Some guys like that, they never turn because they never get, they never topple that mountain. They never get over that. They never climb that, that hill of being the heel and then turning into the face. And some guys do that, but he needs to take a page out of wrestling, out of, professional wrestling, and just sell out. Don't be the face and the heel. You can't be both. Just be the bad guy. Be the bad guy or be the good guy. You got to pick one. And right now he's in the middle of that. And it's so confusing for fans because it's people want to see him get his ass kicked. Yeah. And he did. He got his ass kicked. And people were like cheering that. And I mean, as a wrestling fan, I hate watching wrestlers get beat in MMA. I want all wrestlers to succeed in MMA. But I understood when people were like, hell yeah, like, screw that guy. Because he acts like he's so confident and cocky all the time. So it's so hard to wrap your head around. And then, after that Renier de Ritter fight, he comes on and says on his podcast and tells people to SSD, on the podcast. And I'm like, dude, what's going on? Who is this guy? I just can't. It blows my mind sometimes. So I don't know.
He's definitely you hit it right on it. That's why I feel like that's what I meant when he like has to work on it, because he'll have this like cocky attitude and trash talk, and it's not the best trash talk, but he's getting better at it, I think. But then he'll like after one of his fights, he's like, "I'll make you guys like me and everything." And I'm like, "You don't have to do that. Like just be
make
you."
Us hate you.
Yeah, and because that does happen. Like there were people like, well, I do think about like Michael Chandler a lot too. Like he's just an entertainer, and he'll come out swinging. And not that Bo Nickel needs to come out swinging, but he should commit to whatever he's wanting to do. Even if I hate this guy, I'm gonna watch him if I want to see him get knocked out. But then if he starts beating up people, like people didn't like Khabib, but just because of the way that he fought, but then because he was beating so many guys and seemed untouchable, then they started loving him. Like, so I don't know. I think you're so right. He really has to pick it. And I think that heel is definitely seems a lot more of a natural route for him to go, but he just needs to fully commit to it for sure.
Seems like he is a bad guy, but he like wants everybody to like him. Like, dude, you can't do both. You can't. Also, the fighting thing. Like, I'm so sick of watching him trying to become a striker. Dude, you're not a striker. You're not. You're never like. I don't think that Bo's ever going to get to a point where he is an all-encompassing like, I've got every tool in the tool bag. Like, I'm a Charles Oliveira. I'm a John Jones. I'm not saying I'm the best at every single thing. Well, John Jones was the best at every single thing. He's a unicorn. But like a GSP who could do everything. He can mix in every aspect of the game. Like, Bo, dude, you're a really good grappler. You're a really good wrestler. Go out there and try to maul these guys with your wrestling. Get in the clinch. Pull them down to the ground. Hold them on the ground. Like, you're really good at that. You're the best in the world at that. But he falls so in love with trying to be a striker, and he wants to, try to strike these guys. And I just don't see that as his way to being the best guy in the world. I don't. I think he's got to adapt to becoming some guy that is like a Hamzat or like a Damian Maia, where their way that they won was very, very, it was a narrow way, but it was like, I'm going to take you down and beat you to a pulp. And that's how and Damian Maia was a little different. He was more of a, I'm going to take you down and play this jiu-jitsu game. And I'm going to win. I'm going to win with my grappling. But Hamzat would win with his grappling and his striking and his subs. So, I don't know, man. Like, Bo talked a lot of shit about Hamzat. I'm like, dude, you don't feel like you're ready for a guy like Hamzat. Like, I don't know, man. I would love to see the exchanges between those two guys in a grappling standpoint, but I'm like, dude, it doesn't feel like you're ready for that. But man, I don't know, not to get on an MMA show, but I'm just like, dude, he keeps doing this thing where he'll call out people, and then it's really, I don't know, like this confident, cocky thing, but then he wants people to like him, and I still think, if him and David Taylor wrestled tomorrow, I'd be like, I would think that David Taylor would win.
Yeah,
just because David Taylor competed a year ago at the World Championships and took bronze.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, and I will. Last thing I'll say is that as wrestlers, we are always going to root on those wrestlers, and even if it's not as like exciting in the UFC like MMA world, we know the path that they can still win, and we're like, just stick to what you're really good at. So, I'm excited that he is going back and doing a little bit of wrestling too. That'll be kind of
that'll be fun. That'll be fun to watch him at Real American Freestyle. We'll get to see Aaron Brooks too. Maybe we'll hear from him a little bit about, I know we touched on that a second ago, but to kind of stay on the topic of, wrestlers in MMA, Ben Askren dropped a video today. First time we've heard from him. The video was pretty emotional. He looked, way different than what we're used to seeing Ben, kind of filled out, and he looked a lot different. Obviously, I mean, he's been fighting for his life. Basically said that his heart has stopped 4 times. He basically died 4 times. He has no recollection of basically anything from May 28th till July 2nd.
Crazy.
So like a whole month is missing. His wife has been keeping a journal. He's been reading that. He got the double lung transplant. He said he weighed 147 pounds, which he says he hasn't weighed that since he was like 15 years old or something. Man, just a very if you have a chance, go watch that whole reel that he posted on Instagram. It's about 2.5 minutes, but man. He says he basically feels like he got to attend his own funeral. Like he felt like he died, and people were like, oh my God, Ben could pass away, and like the impact that Ben has had on these people's lives, and he's gotten to read those things. It's kind of a surreal moment to feel like you're attending like a pre-funeral for yourself, and then you get to actually see what happens afterwards. So man, just a crazy story.
It is crazy because what was the start of that? It was like some sort of infection that just really kind of just took over his body,
he had
right?
A staph infection, or I think he had staph and pneumonia or something like that. They learned that he needed
started shutting down.
His body shut down. They learned he needed a double lung transplant. His lungs were failing, and so he was on the donor list. I guess he didn't have great health insurance, or maybe didn't have any health insurance at all, which I mean makes sense. He's probably self-employed, so I guess it was a pretty expensive operation for what he had to have done, which is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just God, insane, man. Watching that video made me a little emotional.
I think, me too. And I think that was like when you see it, you see people talking about it. Hey, like, man, I'm praying for Ben Askren. I'm hoping that he can pull through. And it was really cool to see like wrestling community and like some like the MMA community and like disc golf, but it just like where he's all in. But when he posted that video, like, shoot, that is like it really hits how real that really was. And it is cool to see like a lot of the people that I know and like wrestlers like going through the comments and like glad that he's pushing through because he looked like a completely different person. And I'm glad that he's doing better and hopefully he'll keep. I know it's going to be a big journey. I mean, I have no idea what goes into like a double lung transplant, but I know it's not a couple week thing. It's going to be a while to kind of build back up.
No, it's going to be a long. Sure. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be. I mean, he looked like it reminded me of like Peter Millark in Hunger Games, in the third Hunger Games when he's stuck at the Capitol. And then he comes back after he's had the Tracker Jack venom injected in him and whatever, and he's like a completely different looking person. When I saw him, I didn't recognize I was like, that looks like, oh my God, that's Ben Askren. It was.
I saw one rumor. I don't know if it's true or not, but I did see it there. Somebody said, I heard there's a big donation from Jake Paul, and I'm like, I don't know if it's true. I hope true
that's
in my
true.
head.
That's freaking awesome if it is.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome if it is.
Sweet, but.
Take a freaking knockout to the dome, and you get another $500K on the back end.
Yeah.
Not that that's anything for Jake Paul, which is insane, but yeah, man. I hope that that's the case. That's really cool if that is, and yeah, man. We'll be obviously we've had a lot of news like Ben, the Penn State stuff, and then. I know we talked about that last time. That's been some other stuff that popped up, and then some more Iowa news popped up with Gabe Arnold being dismissed from the team. So, this was pretty big news for a couple of reasons. I'll say the first one was because we did so much speculation on like what that lineup's going to look like, and they kind of don't really have the issue that they had with like, oh, what's this lineup going to look like? Like now it's pretty easy. Like it's going to go Caliendo 65, PK 74, Ferrari 84. Like that's pretty simple. You kind of have one less question mark about what the lineup looks like. But I'm more so concerned about Gabe. I've known Gabe for a little while. I really want Gabe to succeed, and I don't know what that looks like. I don't know where he ends up, and want him to end up at a program he's happy at, and he doesn't feel like he has to, go overboard all the time, and be somebody he's not, and call out Carter Starachi and do these like antics, he doesn't have to be that person. Just go get better at wrestling and wrestle. And that's what I hope for him, whether he takes that advice or not. I'd put my head down. I'd go to work. I'd show up at whatever team I decide to go with. I'd show up at their first duel. I'd keep my head down. I'd show up at their next duel. I'd show up at the next tournament. I'd show up, and I'd just keep freaking moving along.
Yeah.
And, you don't have to go out there and say, all these guys at 174, I'm coming for their heads, or more. I just don't. I think that puts unnecessary pressure on yourself. I'm all about having confidence, but putting unnecessary pressure on yourself it's already a sport that creates a lot of pressure. Just because it's a personal sport, it's not a team sport. It's all about what you do in that 7 minutes. So
yeah, I think
him going to.
Sorry, him going to
no, you're good.
Iowa, you have you kind of have the path of they were either a verbal I'm gonna be this big guy, or you have the grinder mindset. I feel like it's a little bit one of those two, and he chose that one that you're talking about. It does add some pressure to him, and so now I do hope. I agree completely. I hope he goes somewhere, keeps developing, and becomes because he's a really good wrestler.
Yeah.
What are some potential top of mind places where he could land that you think would be good for him?
It's a good question, man. I don't think he stays in the Big Ten. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like a strong UNC or Virginia Tech could be in the mix. I don't necessarily know why I feel that way. I think UNC probably makes a little more sense. Virginia Tech brought in DeSante at 74, and then they brought in Jaden Bullock at 84. I mean, immediate need for them. I think that Gabe could probably beat or go with both of those guys. So I don't think that that's an issue for Gabe, and I think Virginia Tech would be interested in having Gabe. I think that UNC kind of has a little bit more of we can use this guy right now. And I think, Tony used to recruit a bunch of those Georgia kids. I'm pretty sure him and Gabe still probably have a good relationship. Rob Cole's an amazing recruiter. I feel that way. I don't have any intel. I have zero intel into that. I just feel that kind of looking into it. That was kind of one of the first schools that I thought of.
Yeah.
I could see an ACC school like that. I don't really see him going out west or anything. Mm-mm. Don't see him at a big time Big 12. When Roper was at UNI, I could have seen him going and staying in Iowa and going to UNI. I don't necessarily see him going to Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough to say. It's maybe Oklahoma. I mean, I could see something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
They've got a bunch of NIL. If he's kind of bag chasing still, I don't really know if that's what his goals are.
He did redshirt already, right?
Yeah, he redshirted and competed. His first year of competition was last year, so he has 3 years of eligibility left. No redshirt, but 3 years of eligibility left. Gabe's going to be one of those guys where he's going to be at the national tournament competing to be an All-American for 3 years if he continues to wrestle. And I think he will, but it's just a matter of him finding he's just got to find the right place. Yeah, we'll see what happens with him. We'll see what happens with Bo Bassett. I mean, that's kind of completely opened back up. Melvin Miller, his recruitment's down to 8 schools or 7 schools, something like that now. So those guys feel like a package deal with Bo and Melvin. I just don't know where they're going to go. I have no idea. I've heard some Oklahoma State. I heard some Nebraska. I mean, I know Rutgers was in the mix not too long ago before. Is Penn State even still? I don't know. I have no clue. And so really all these guys kind of opened everything back up when Bo did that for him and for Melvin. And then I would imagine Keegan, his little brother, will go wherever Bo goes as well. So it's a huge family thing that they've got going on. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. And then I guess not to get far away from Bo, next week we've got the last Final X match with Jackson.
You're getting really good at these segues.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm working on it. It's podcasting 101. His buddy Jax, high school teammate Jax, will be wrestling Vito. And I've heard Vito's maybe still not 100%. I don't know. I have no intel. But we'll see what happens. I think it's Jax. He's looked awesome. I don't know. I think he's really, really good. I know Vito. I know how good Vito is. Vito could go in there and dominate, and I would not be surprised. But I just feel like Jax has been wrestling so well, and I'd like to see him on the world team.
Do you think they would push it back a second time?
No, if Vito doesn't walk the walk this time, it'll be Jax's spot. At least that's what I've heard. So we will see. I hope that doesn't happen. I want to watch him wrestle, but I want to watch him wrestle when Vito's healthy.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Well, any other breaking news? I know there's a lot of news there, and then we got a little MMA talk in
We
there.
got a lot of stuff in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't have any breaking news. I mean, we mentioned it today. We posted on Instagram today, still looking for that first we're still looking for the first guest, and I think you mentioned my ability to kind of segue. I mean, I think I'm only going to be better as an interviewer. I think I'm going to change my tune from last week. I think we're going to be great at just being able to ask questions and flow through conversations.
We're gonna both have polos on, and I have
That's
like a
fine.
fake wire like that. We're
Yeah.
getting fed.
Yeah, one of the
that'd be
yeah.
sweet.
But
Like the earpiece.
yeah,
in
man,
ears.
we just got to find the right guy. It's not some exclusive thing, You don't have to be, the biggest star in the world. You just got to be a first takedown guy. You got to you got to know us, and that's a small amount of people that know us. So all in good fun. I think we'll have somebody on one day. I don't know if it'll be in a month or if that'll be in a year, but we'll keep working at it.
That would be fun to
building
have a
brand.
segment once it gets back into the college season to get some wrestler on and that like got the first takedown of their like match, and we just talk about their first takedown. They break that down like how
Yeah.
they did it. That'd be kind of cool. And just like
That's
a
not a
quick
bad
segment,
idea.
like just have
Yeah.
you on for like 10, 15 minutes. Talk about the
Yeah,
first
that's
takedown.
that's our niche. That's like our
Yeah.
niche. We talk
Yeah.
about the first takedown of the match or the first score of the match. In my scenario of most of my matches, it would be, hey, how'd you do this ride out and triple ride outs? Oh, great job.
How'd you get
No,
that
it was a
riding
really
time point
really
to win the
exciting
match?
match.
Soak
Yeah.
on champ, no takedowns, no big
Zero
deal.
takedowns.
No
Zero
big deal.
takedowns.
But well, hey, we got some good luck to all the wrestlers competing at Fargo this week.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll get to see Jax and Vito go at it because there's some fun wrestlers to watch, and I hope that match happens. So we shall
Yeah.
see. We shall see.
Yeah, I
But,
think it will, but we'll see, and we'll get to see it at least twice. So that's awesome.
yeah. Well, appreciate you guys listening, and make sure you like, subscribe, follow Instagram. Send some suggestions. I might post up some like questions too or topics that we should hit on because
Perfect.
I think we've got some casual wrestlers and we've got some people that know it all. Like the fans it's expanding. There's so
Yeah,
many
it's
of
getting-
them. We've got
yeah.
the best fans in the world.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. No, we'll
Started to go.
start getting a bigger audience. Pick up some followers here and there. And the questions
It'll
will be
be good.
great. Maybe we'll do a question segment. See what the
Yeah.
fans want.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys listening. This has been First Takedown, episode 11. We will talk to you soon.
Peace.
Peace.